Welcome everyone back to the Hoops Deep Dive show. Today we're going to be going over the Deandre Ayton max contract offer sheet from the Pacers, which was immediately matched by Pheonix, potential Donovan Mitchell trades, and the Ray Allen take on why LeBron isn't the GOAT. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So firstly guys, I just want to apologise for this video being up a couple days late. I've been super busy lately. I've had this planned for a couple days, but just been super busy with work and stuff. Unfortunately, this isn't my full-time job, so really sorry for that, but I'm really excited to talk about these really big news stories because DeAndre Ayton, he was the biggest restricted free agent left in the market, and I was very surprised that there was no traction, but we'll get into what was going on there and what I think of it for both sides. And then Donovan Mitchell, again, a really weird, massive story, so we'll get straight into those now. So I talked about the Indiana Pacers as a possible offer sheet team for DeAndre Ayton. I thought that he fit perfect with that young core, and I was very surprised that they didn't offer it to him earlier in free agency. By all reports, Pheonix was unwilling to discuss a sign and trade with the Pacers, which is weird because you would have thought a package built around a Miles Turner, DeAndre Ayton swap would have been beneficial for Pheonix given the broken relationship they currently have with DeAndre Ayton. Over the past year, he was really hurt when they didn't offer him the initial rookie max, and then they obviously went through their difficulties throughout the season, which he felt unvalued. And then in Game 7, he refused to check in, and a bit of this would be on Pheonix side as well. Being an NBA player, refusing to check into a Game 7, that definitely is going to hurt that relationship. And then by all reports, his work ethic isn't the greatest. Devin Booker really needs to push him a lot. So the relationship there is really damaged and strange, which is a shame because he's a number one pick from 4 years ago. But this deal, firstly, I'll just talk about the implications on the trade market, and then I'll talk about it for both teams. So he cannot be traded until April 15th now, and he has veto power for the whole first year of this deal. So this basically means he has a no trade clause for the first year of his deal, which it's a big error from the Phoenix Suns, because if they maxed him out a year ago, sure, it'd be worth, a little bit more money, but they'd be able to stay in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. Now they're just not going to have enough to trade for Kevin Durant without giving up Devin Booker, unfortunately. So on a Phoenix sign of it, it's a sign that terrible ownership is always going to be terrible ownership, no matter what happens with the team. Phoenix has been a really good team for the last 2 years, but Robert Sava has just proven that he's a bad owner at the end of the day. He broke this relationship or strained this relationship with DeAndre Ayton a year ago, and the team, I don't want to say suffered because of it, but I think DeAndre's performance suffered because of it. And it's really hard to compete for championships, and you really do need everything to fall your way. And it almost feels like a bit of a wasted season. They could have maxed him out a year ago, and it could have just not been talked about. But instead, he's just had poor effects on this team, with his racism claims as well. So I think this just proves that poor management is always going to be poor management. But I think he is worth the max. I would have offered the rookie max to him a year ago after, his great playoff run. Him and CP fit so perfect. When they blitz CP, he makes great decisions out of the blitz. And I think he's a really to offer him this deal, but it's nothing major. And I think for a young team, you saw during Brooklyn's down years them offer sheets to Alan Crabb and Otto Porter Jr. and players like that. And I think, for a young team like Indiana, I don't hate it. And, he would have been the perfect fit. I'm surprised Detroit wasn't involved in the DeAndre Ayton sweepstakes, but overall, I think, he goes back to Phoenix. I don't think they could have been a contender without him. So I think overall it ends up in the perfect situation. Oh, not perfect, but the right decision by Phoenix to keep him. Is probably a year too late on a Utah side, to be honest. I think Donovan Mitchell's trade value in this last season really decreased. We saw the defense reach all-time lows. He was never an outstanding defender. But, there is a little bit around, the NBA media and stuff forgetting how good this guy really is. I mean, who can forget that playoff series with Jamal Murray where they were just dropping 50 bombs at each other every game? But that's not his only series. In his rookie season, he took down Russ and PG and Melo. So he really, really is a special scorer, special offensive player. The defense isn't there, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure if it's an effort thing or a talent thing. I hope it's just an effort thing. But the first team, the reason I wanted to cover this, is to talk about the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks have been, linked to Donovan for years now. There's mutual interest. He wants to play in a really big market like New York, and they'd obviously love a star like Donovan. But the issue is they just signed a 6'1" point guard in Jalen Brunson. And now if you trade for Donovan, who, whilst listed at 6'3", he's probably closer to 6 foot 6'1". That is a recipe for disaster in today's NBA, a backcourt of two 6'1" players. You're not going anywhere with that. You're going to get picked apart on defense. So, they've made a move there that has hurt their team. But a potential trade package is RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, Emmanuel Quickley, and 4 first-round picks. Brian Windhorst has been reporting up to 6 first-round picks, and I'll have a video coming out on this later, but, the asking price for these players, Kevin Durant and Donovan, is going to be so high because of the Rudy Gobert trade, The Rudy Gobert price was so high, 4 first-round picks, and then Walker Kessler, who was a first-round pick in this year's draft. 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, and everyone's going, well, he's a much, much better player than Rudy Gobert. So, for the New York Knicks, RJ Barrett and 4's first is a lot to give up. Manuel Quickley is a player I really like, but, in this situation, you do get off Evan Fournier's contract, and you do get that star player in Donovan that they've been so desperately trying to get. But the thing with the New York Knicks is they just need to display a level of competence, and people will go there, They haven't got any free agents because James Dolan and the franchise has just continually showed incompetence. So if they can just prove to be a competent franchise for 3 to 4 years, they will get free agents. But until they do that, they're going to continue to be a really poor franchise and a poorly run franchise. The next trade package I actually want to apologise for, because the Miami Heat can actually only include 3 first-round picks and no pick swaps. So either way, I just want to talk about that the Miami Heat do not have enough assets, even if they could offer 4 firsts and 2 pick swaps, to acquire a player like a Donovan Mitchell or Kevin Durant. Everyone keeps hyping up this Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson package. Tyler Hero is a high volume, low efficiency scorer. You guys know how I feel about that. He's not a potential star in this league. He's become a very, very overrated player ever since the bubble, really. And don't get me wrong, he was a great player for the Heat this year. He was really their go-to scorer down the stretch, in ISO situations. They'd give it to Tyler, but he's not going to be a superstar or anything like that in the league, and everyone keeps building these trade packages around him. But if you're Utah, I'm looking at all other 3 packages here and probably another 6 or 7 before I get to this Tyler Hero package. Duncan Robinson's a really poor contract. He was out of the rotation in the playoffs. It's just not a package I think will get a star player in this league. So I don't think Miami's in the sweepstakes for Donovan Mitchell. And then 2 teams that I've come up with that haven't been reported. So the Toronto Raptors have been talked about a little bit. If they could do a Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Thad Young, and 4 firsts, I think it would be a perfect fit for Donovan and them. They really need ISO scoring. Pascal is a really good forward, one of the more underrated players in the league. But between him and Fred VanVleet, they just get by on offense and then have that elite defense. But if they can get an elite scorer like Donovan Mitchell on the offensive end, then they can hopefully cover up for his deficiencies on the defensive end with their size and length, then it'd be a perfect fit for both squads, and it'd probably push Toronto up into that NBA championship discussion. And for the Denver Nuggets, they had pick 13 all those years ago, traded it away, and now they're going to have to give up a big haul to get. I think this could be beneficial for both teams, depending on how highly you rate Michael Porter Jr. The back is an issue, but If you want to believe in him, you could, play him on and off maybe 50, 60 games next season. And they clearly want to go in for Victor Wembanyama. I think that goes without saying, but I definitely think all these packages could be a good haul for Donovan Mitchell, but similar to Kevin Durant, I think he starts the season on the Utah Jazz. I don't think anyone's going to be able to meet Utah's starting price of 6 first round picks. So, yeah,